Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My camera has decided to go for a walk. There we go. We're back. Good morning, everybody. Friday, the 28th of March, 2025. I am back with the Oracle, who isn't looking at his camera. Say hello, Oracle.
Hello.
What are you going to be doing with us today, Oracle?
Well, I mean, it's quite a calm stream for me anyway. It's quite a nice break from it all because, I kind of give my currency. But my main area right now is going to be Bitcoin chart. So obviously, if you look at the Bitcoin chart pretty much as of late, then it's gone down a bit. But I'll do my quick TA in a bit.
Okay, I do apologise. We have massive heads, okay? I've got a huge head, and the Oracle keeps looking at the TV. Oracle sees the side of your head.
I'm just looking at the comments and whatnot.
Right. What we're going to go through today is the following. Bitcoin, of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin. The Oracle is with us, which can only mean one thing. We have the Bitcoin charts to look at. We're going to look at $10,000 ETH. Some of you will laugh at that. It is not a laughing matter. We have a 10K ETH prediction. We're going to look at 3 to watch. We did this last week. I quite liked it. The Oracle and myself look at 3 cryptos and we decide in order which ones we're going to invest in. That's going to be fun. Then Walruses have arrived on Sui. Don't ask. We're going to look at that later on. We are then going to go back over quantum computing and 51% attacks and what that means for Bitcoin and crypto. We're going to look at Ghibli. I told you about it yesterday. Had you ignored my advice, you'd be up over 400% today. But it doesn't matter because it's going to go to 0. And then, finally...
after it's already gone all the way down again.
I'm one of those people where I will help you not only miss the 99% drops, I'm going to help you miss the 500% pumps at the same time.
That's what we do.
And also, we're going to talk about SBF. They're moving him. He is moving from...
No more did he?
New York to Oklahoma.
Oh,
okay?
No.
Now, I mean, I don't really know much about Oklahoma other than they made a musical about it. Okay? That's all I know about Oklahoma. So that's what we're going to talk about. That is the show today. Do you want to do the shout-outs while I get the X-Files up? Actually, no, go on, you first.
Kishan.
Yeah.
Kishan. First, as of I can see. First in the chat. Alright, Rope, hello to you. In agendas. KB, shout out to you as well. We're doing a stream later. We'll go over the charts. Obviously for me again, because I'm not going to do too much detail today. I'm going to talk about it a bit more in depth later on today. Agendas, I already said your name. Jan, Tariq, good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Mags, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you all.
Good morning. Right then, before we get on to the X-Files, we of course have to look at the Bitcoin price, the Ethereum price, and crypto in general. Now, volume is a pitiful sub 100 billion and has been for days. Crabbing, sideways, indecisive action. Bitcoin coming in at $85,000. The world is ending. Ethereum is back down to $1,900 where it was way back when. XRP down to 221. That's a bit of a drop. BNB is still above 600. Solana is back to 130. USDC is still at $1. I mean, USDC's got to be one of the most underperforming cryptos.
If you bought that like 10 years, however many years ago, you are still just in the exact same position you were.
If you'd have bought USDC 4 years ago, you would have outperformed Ethereum.
You know what I like to see though when I do my streams is when I filter by percentage. You can gauge the entire day whether you see USDC and all the other coins or not. I like thinking about that.
Yeah. There's actually a little trick which I'm sure KB in chat knows and maybe nobody else knows. When USDC depegs slightly, so it goes to 0.995 or it goes to 1005, do you know what that means? That means there is sell pressure on Bitcoin or buy pressure on Bitcoin because it depegs ever so slightly, like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. And there are some whales out there that will trade those differences, those fractions of differences. So that's when you see 0.999, that means more people are buying USDC than selling.
Right. Or
no,
if
more
it's
people
going down to be selling.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So anyway, I can't.
So you can tell the what the predicted. You could kind of predict the inflows and outflows
yes.
of the rest of the market based on slight depegging of the stablecoins.
Yeah, and then you can look at the open interest rate, so you can compare the longs
look,
versus shorts. So you can get paid to have a short position, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's there. Ton is 11th, Chainlink is 12th. That's it. Now, should we look at the Gloria gainers today? Mm-hmm. Not many. 4 is up 5. What? That sounds
4's
good,
up 5.
Do you know there was a football match once between Forfar and East Fife, and the score, and I trick you not, it was Forfar 4, East Fife 5. That's an actual score from an actual football match in Scotland.
That is hard. If you have a stutter and you're a presenter, you're screwed.
You don't get this kind of alpha anywhere else. Kronos is up 4.5%. You know why?
Why?
Because the SEC Wells notice was dropped against them. So they're up a little bit. Ton is up. Dexy. Pax Gold is up. Of course, we talked about that, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. And Tether Gold is up. So gold's up 1%. That's probably on the news that Trump is going to go and bash somebody in the head. Jasmine's down. Lido is down. Ethena, Stacks, Floki, WorldCoin, an awful lot of people down. I think it's a red day. Let's not beat around the bush. Should we move on to some X-Files?
Yeah.
See what's coming up first. Have you got them over there?
Yeah, I've got it for
to look at. Perfect. Let's have a look. What is up first? Very slow today.
I've got it for me.
Here we go. So GameStop investors tell Fox it should buy $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin with cash. GME is going to $100. It's a $13 billion hedge fund. Now, you weren't here on Monday or Tuesday, but they've got $5 billion in cash. Mm-hmm. And Saylor basically said they should buy Bitcoin with it all. Of course, you're not going to do that. Maybe half, maybe whatever. Yep. But they haven't done any of that. What they've done is they've done a fundraise. So they keep the $5 billion in cash, and then they go and buy.
Fundraise moved, random people.
The investors, they're going to do a share sale, like Strategy's been doing. Right. They basically sell shares in their company to raise the money, and then that will then pump the price up. I think this is going to create a house of cards, because at some point, the people like GameStop, what happens in a bear market when the price of Bitcoin comes down, and the investors say, "We'd like our money back, please." And then what they're going to do, dump 1.5 billion of Bitcoin. And then what happens if 20 or 30 companies all dump their Bitcoin at the same time? Are we actually going to go from a more stable Bitcoin to a more volatile? Because now we have
to a more centralized Bitcoin, where if there's not just convergence of thousands of people from around the world, convergence of 20 companies or whatever you say,
exactly,
which can heavily affect the price.
Exactly. It's absolutely nuts. Also, before I forget, we have another stream today at 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock with you and KB, whenever you decide you're going to do it. So this is the first of 2 streams today. We've also done some shorts. We've done some shorts, ladies and gentlemen, for TikTok.
Yeah.
Now, we aren't very good at that kind of thing. We don't normally do that kind of stuff. The only thing I know that TikTok is a grandfather clock. So we've done some of them, and we will tell you where they are at a later date. So make sure to follow us and like and subscribe. Now then, this is really big news. Chainlink is going to team up with lawmakers to provide proof of bill. This is to force stablecoins and real-world assets to actually say what they have is really what they have. And these are the projects of the most developers. This is a different graph that we get from Sentiment all the time. Chainlink, EigenLayer, DeFi, whatever it might be. But this is absolutely massive, because we've gone from private blockchains, which is pretty much what banks are. They've had private blockchains for as long as we've had networks, to a public blockchain. So if you've got USDC, USDT, PayYUSD, or whatever it might be, they're going to have to prove the reserves now, but do it in an online verifiable way. So I think this is massively bullish for not only Chainlink, but also for stablecoins. Because the big thing about Tether is that they've always been a bit shady.
Yeah.
They've never really proved that they've got the money that they had. And lots of people have been very against Tether. And obviously Tether got kicked out of the EU, 2 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Good. Right. BlackRock's Global Allocation Fund reports owning $47.4 million worth of Bitcoin ETF. Again, a drop in the ocean. $47 million. You know, like that falls out of Larry Fink's pocket when he gets his handkerchief out to blow his nose. But it's not about the amount. It's the fact that it's in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you are aware, but BlackRock have funds of funds. Mm-hmm. So you're doing an awful lot of clicking over there.
Yeah, I'm just drawing something, and I'm paying attention.
It's like, are you playing Frogger? You're playing Frogger, aren't you?
I'm on track.
Are you playing rock, paper, scissors
No.
with Kishan?
I'm going on the lower time frame. I have a little nosy.
Okay. So they do funds of funds, and this is just how they are starting to build up their funds of funds with Bitcoin. So that's a positive sign. Let's move on very quickly because we're going to have to get to your charts, and that's where time stands still. Let's have a look. Who is in chat? Vas is in chat as well. Good morning to you, sir. There we go. I think we've just broken below 86 or 85, sorry.
No, 11.11.
Ooh. Right, you can buy 1,150 sats for $1. You could buy 1,290 sats for $1 about 2.5 weeks ago. Those of you out there who might not understand a lot about crypto, who think you have to own one Bitcoin or one Ethereum, we tell you from time to time, you don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can buy 10 euros of Bitcoin or $20 of Bitcoin or £15 of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole one. You can buy sats. Sats are basically the shares in Bitcoin. What is there, 100 million sats per Bitcoin?
Potentially, yeah.
I think. You can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin.
Yeah. If we multiply one or divide the current price, or if we multiply the amount of sats by the price of Bitcoin, we get it.
We've moved on now, but yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's 100,000. Right then, Market Watch, which we normally do on a Monday, is a very quick reminder that today we have a few key pieces of information coming out. PCE index, the PCE year on year, the core PCE, and the core PCE year on year. That is what's coming out today, and that is likely to give the market a bit of a shake. So we could be seeing a little bit of volatility in the price of Bitcoin today. Personally, and I know a lot of people do this, a lot of people go long, they leverage into this kind of news. For me, it's a gamble. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is not a massive day. It's not the biggest day in Bitcoin's history, but it's going to be an indicator of where inflation is going, which then leads on to everything else. And hopefully Bitcoin coming down and bouncing and then shooting straight back up. Should we move on? Have you finished clicking yet?
Yeah.
Mr. Tappy Tappy. It's very loud.
And that's a very loud mouse.
It's like having a cricket chirping in my ear while I'm talking. But then, there's a few words we can't say in this article. Early Bitcoin entrepreneurs took risks like running into machine
Gum.
Can't say that word.
Gum.
Like running into machine gum, says Trace Mayer. Early Bitcoin pioneers such as Roger Ver navigated legal and financial risks comparable to soldiers running into gum. Investor Trace Mayer said in a recent interview underscoring, why does that keep popping up? The high-risk environment that shaped cryptocurrency's rise. Again, this is not just... This is an early adopter problem. It's not a crypto problem. If you opened, the first vaping shop, for example, you'd have come up against opposition. The people that had their first online insurance websites, they'd have come up against this opposition. It's not really a Bitcoin-specific problem. It's an early adopter problem, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with any anything with that much theory behind them and not a lot of proof, you're always. I mean, it's like I said, anything like this, and the majority of successful things have always started out as things with so much kind of in theory we're going to get to this price, whatever, and this sort of success rate.
Yeah.
It's always going to be running into a sticky situation, if you will.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's like any other scenario.
Exactly. And again, I think I know where this is heading. So basically, there are a couple of individuals, early adopters to Bitcoin, who are under the previous regime in America, are under attack. As in, if they go back to America, they're going to get arrested. They're going to be done for fraud and all these other kind of things. And I think these types of articles, and we're going to talk about this later with SBF, because remember what my predictions were at the start of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was SBF was going to be released from prison.
Yep. Let's check some.
One of them was that SBF was going to be released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Ver can't go back to America because he's wanted for tax evasion, but he paid his tax. They just want more. So I get where this is coming from. Right? Do you want to do the? Do you want to do your chart? But don't start yet. Let me bring it up first.
We can do, yeah. I can start it, yeah.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I'll be quick. As quick as possible. I've planned it out so I can speak as fast as I can. Obviously, we're in eligibility.
I've got to bring it up first.
That's fine.
I have to bring it up first. Give me 1 second. So this is, we're going to share your screen, aren't we?
Yeah. Or share the browser window.
Yeah.
It's quite a nice little app.
There we go.
Just shares the browser window. It's quite nice.
I think you are going to be there in 1 second. Hang on. This is the problem with live shows, is they do tend to go horrifically wrong. Give me 1 minute.
You look at like news channels and you look at their break rooms and they've got these massive metal boards full of buttons and sliders. And you think, okay, that goes smoothly, but that requires a whole room with metal boards and buttons, and we've got literally a laptop.
There you go. You're on.
This will go as fast as can be. So we've got some prices, we've got some
You
targets.
don't have to be quick.
Well, I want to be quick. I think obviously I'm going to spend an entire stream looking at Bitcoin and subsequent movements and preceding movements, or whatever.
There we go.
So I'm not going to spend too long talking about it because I'm just going to go over the rundown of what I see in this. Because clicked the chart, saw the move down, and went, oh wow, we're actually moving down. So we're coming to this area. So I've got my ranges up here. We're at a low point of support here, which obviously we've found resistance a few times before. Found resistance a bit here, and then obviously we came up. So we're back here within this range in between 85. 500-ish and 85.096. That's kind of the range of support here. Obviously, we'll wick down, but the main kind of point is where you print at. And that is obviously marked out here. So that's where we currently are. What I'll do is I'll talk about this movement first, and then I'm going to talk about, maybe not caveats per se, but just some kind of variables we've got going on. So the way I can kind of see it is I think this is going to be a good support point. I think we've had a majority of move. Obviously, we've got some things going on during the day, which is going to affect how the volatility is going to be, which is obviously why I'm going to give my caveats to this, especially this price down here at about 84.5, and then this one down here I'll talk about in a second. But again, the main movement, like I said, this is a rough movement. This is kind of just like what I reckon could happen for Bitcoin. It's just this general movement here, but it could go differently. Again, this is going to be one of those days. But this is kind of what I'm thinking. So this is a support area, or a sell area, sorry. I believe the 1 hour in between these two prices, about 87, about $250 range here we've got going on. And this midpoint is around about 86.9, where I reckon there's going to be a bit of sell there, which also happens to come fill this candle here, which I do reckon is going to give a negative movement. Now we do have these lines, which I'll go on to in just a second. And then down here is where I'm expecting there to be a support point if we do follow along with this movement, which will be in between about 86k and then the line here about 85.7 ish. So we've got a support point there after we continue onwards, and then obviously I just drew this line. I mean, I think once we hit this, we'll be able to surpass it. Again, this is kind of predictionary. This probably isn't something to exactly follow, but it's just kind of a general line where, okay, well, if we don't have anything above us and we do continue to go upwards, I mean, the next logical resistance point, apart from maybe some of these areas at this 87.5 area, apart from there, We just have this general resistance point.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's kind of that main movement. I will go on to some different things now. So let me hide this quickly so I can show these lines. So the thing I wanted to point out was this kind of trend area we've got going on. You can see this on the 4 hour as well, but I'm just going to do it on the daily. I think you had this drawn. I don't know if you've shown it on stream. This kind of range. I think I've drawn this previously as well on my streams.
Same range, yeah.
We've had this since obviously 13th of March. We've had this for a while now, and we've obviously hit off this area above here, and then we've arced downwards. So I mean, if you were to follow these ranges, again, the logical step would be to come towards somewhere near 84.9, or obviously up the line as we go up towards where we are now at about 85.2. So within this range, we've not broken out of anything. This is still a logical, positive, bullish trend we have. So it's still logical. Even if we were to follow based on highs and lows, obviously the obvious lows around about here, about 837. So even if we had that is still a logical low. This line here, this is kind of this isn't something too drastically important. I just wanted to map it out in case there was a support point below us. And what this is a weekly time frame, like really high time frame equilibrium point. So this is basically support. Now I do believe we could potentially see it, and I'll show my reasoning why now. I believe it's this one. It might be wrong though. It might be one up on the range. I think it's this one. There we go, yeah. So we've had this, I've shown this on stream before, we had this equilibrium, we kind of wicked out of it, but my main point was that this would be another area here. Now, obviously this looks a bit messy, I've got a bunch of lines on it, but the general statement of this is we've come up to this red area, which is the midpoint of equilibrium, and we've now started to arc downwards from this point. Now, we could potentially see, now I don't necessarily think we may see it, but obviously we had a support point back here, which we've hit, and now we're coming up again. So we could potentially see 832, but we could come above this and then find support at 885 and flip it. There are many a time we can just come into equilibrium, find support within the midpoint, and then continue onwards. So this isn't something crazy to look at. And additionally, as well, on the weekly, this white candle is a displacement candle. This is just mapped out on this indicator I've got, which just draws everything for me. It's a lot easier for me. This is a displacement candle, so this is something you come to fill, and this goes up towards 94k. So you can see we've formed it, found support at this into high area here, and then we're now starting to come up again. So I do think we could flip equilibrium. I'm not too negative right now, even though we have come down. I'm not thinking we go to 83k. I'm not I'm not saying it's over for Bitcoin. I do think we can see ourselves climb back upwards continuously. I just think this was a rebalance on the wider time frame, and then we're going to come right back upwards again. So I'm not too worried about Bitcoin. I mean, I'm trying to think. I think I had one more thing to look at. If I remember, I don't know. I don't think I had anything else to look at really. I think that's generally pretty much it for me.
Because I've got the same range as you, obviously. And yesterday, I made out the point that 88.5 is the bottom of the bull market support band.
Yeah.
Right? 88.450, I think. But then again, I might be out of that a little bit. So you've got 88.5, say, is the bottom of the bull market support band.
Yeah.
And we have rattled against that all week.
Yeah.
And if you look at the chart, I drew a pattern yesterday where we're basically following this channel all the way up. And the next thing we had to do was decide, are we going to break 88.5? Are we going to get rejected? And if we get rejected, where are we going to come down to? And I think we've come down to exactly where I said we were going to come down to.
Right.
Obviously not to the dollar, but that range, right?
Yeah.
So then the next logical point for us to do next is to move up the next point. But the other thing I told you this morning was there's a bull flag.
Yeah.
There was a bull flag. Yeah. There was a bull flag.
There still could be a bull flag, like if you look on the 4 hour.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's broken to the downside.
I don't really think so. Kinda. I mean, it's kind of come out, to be fair, though.
Yeah,
it has kind of, like, if we look from here, you can see all these lines. We've kind of come out of it. We've not come out that far. I mean, we could still potentially see it.
Because I had us going at some point, not in the too distant future, I had us going to about 92,000. That was the next leg up for me. But we've broken it. It's broken to the downside. It does happen, so it's not like the end of the world. Right, okay, what we'll do then, should we move on and talk about Ethereum, because you're going to have to look at Ethereum next.
I'm going to look at the Ethereum chart?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then that's it. There's only 2 charts we'll look at today. I'm going to come out of here now.
Yeah, I'll bring it up while in the background.
And I'll talk about Ethereum for a couple of minutes. We haven't really talked about Ethereum all week because I did a lot of Ethereum bashing last week and the week before.
Yeah.
Because of management rather than actual problems with the chain. It's like the chain is fine, but the management aren't. And you've got BlackRock, you've got Fidelity, you've got everybody coming to Ethereum, and then Ethereum is just running around the house dressed as what they call Charizards.
Yeah.
Right. Analyst predicts Ethereum price rally to $10,000 amid Petra upgrade date reveal. Ethereum price eyes bullish breakout with Petra upgrade set for April the 30th being a catalyst as whale accumulation signals bullish momentum. Now, before we read this article, last year, maybe the year before, I said the very top for Ethereum, I think, is $8,000 to $10,000. Right? That was it. I still think we'll get to $8,000 to $7,500, even from where we are now. But even I think $10,000 is a little bit out of reach for Ethereum.
It's pretty high.
I think it's pretty high. What are we now? 1,900.
Something like that, yeah.
So we need to do a 5x in 6 months. I think that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough
Pretty
for
rough.
anybody. I mean, XRP went from 30 cents to $2. Well, actually went over $3, didn't it, at one point?
Yeah.
That's a 10x, but even that didn't have the market cap of Ethereum. So I think we're going to struggle. The Ethereum price may be gearing up for a long-term breakout as analysts point to key on-chain trends and the upcoming Petra upgrade. The asset has been consolidating in a defined accumulation zone, and several traders believe this phase could lead to a strong upward movement this year. The upgrade, which introduces wallet improvements and efficiency enhancements, is set for April the 30th. You know, it's April the 1st soon, isn't it?
Yes.
Does it fall on a stream day?
Tuesday. We can make it a stream day. I can make it a stream day.
We could do April. You know what? We need to do an April Fool's Day.
We do. Did you get the hat?
The hat?
Basically, we were walking home, or we were walking out our home,
yes.
and we saw on the side of the road, or not on the side of the road, on the side of a little like grassy verge, or whatever.
Yes, we did.
We saw a hard hat, and no one was there. We were going to take it on the way back home. I forgot to. That would have been a good prop.
It would. So April Fool's Day stream we need to do. Next Tuesday. Perfect, we can do that. So they've also identified a falling trend line that could be considered a major obstacle according to them. Again, I think this must be coming out of the same people that are looking at a $100 XRP. I just don't see it. But anyway, based on this analysis, Crypto Patel believes an Ethereum price macro breakout may occur after April, and this is supported by cyclical structures in on-chain data. Ethereum does better in the first half of the year than the second half of the year, number one. Number two, it should have had a really good Q1. It's had a terrible Q1. Q2, we are, 3 or 4 days away from the start of Q2. Ethereum's got no chance of having a good Q1 now. Quantitative tightening is still there, which means the money printer hasn't been turned back on, even though it's on a little bit. I don't see a setup for ETH to go to $4,000 in the near future. That's my problem. I think $2,500 is a really good price for it to get to. Getting above $2,000 was a major milestone again for Ethereum. It shows it can go back above $2,000 and hold it for a little bit. But any sign of Bitcoin moving down and ETH just gets dumped. Yeah. That's the problem. So the upgrade is going ahead. We don't really care about this. But the key thing here about this wallet move, have you heard about these wallet changes?
I think so.
So the changing wallets, a lot of wallets are being changed so you can use passkeys.
Right.
A lot of wallets are being changed so you can connect them up to your Google account.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, the passkeys, yeah.
Yeah, the passkeys, the Google accounts, the Microsoft accounts. So it's all happening. Now, again, there are a lot of people out there that are going to say that is a terrible thing, and I can't believe we're doing this to crypto, not your keys, blah, blah, blah. Ethereum can get, your Google account can get hacked. I get all of that. But we are not going to get everybody's auntie and uncle into crypto if they have to write down passphrases and leave them. The husbands can't find the shopping lists. How are they going to find the 12-phrase passkey?
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of changes happening to wallets in the future. Look at Abstract. Abstract, you don't even need a wallet. You just connect up through your Google account. That's another example. Sui are changing the way that their wallets work. So it's happening. And for Ethereum to do this, again, it's bullish. Of course it is. But it's not going to reinvent Ethereum by changing these things. You know, changing the gas fees was a big one for Ethereum. And that actually appears to have done the opposite of what it should have done. It's actually killed the price a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, are you ready to bring up the Ethereum chart?
Nearly.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like having a nosy.
So what I'd say about this article, I'll give my opinion then before we get to your chart. I'm bringing your chart up on the screen, by the way, while I talk.
fine,
Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do.
Give me a go. I'm just like,
No, we're going to do this. We're going to use the power of our slides. I'm going to take us off camera while you do that.
oh, beautiful. Yeah, I'm just drawing.
Right. So here's my thing.
PC
Right.
is not happy at me.
We are not going to look at getting anywhere until we get back above probably about $2,500.
Yeah.
After that, we've got to break $3,000. So $2,500, $3,000, and then the whale. The whale is $4,000.
Yeah.
That's the whale that we have to catch, and that's going to be an absolute massive make or break for Ethereum. We might get to the end of this bull run and Ethereum not break $4,000.
Yeah.
It's possible, or it might break $4,500 and then come straight back down again. We don't have an awful lot of bullish momentum going for Ethereum, but the market has to change, and then everybody's going to wake up one morning and forget about all these bad things that happened with Ethereum because it's sitting at $6,000.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The sentiment at the minute is bearish, and the sentiment is bearish because there's no money. There's no money coming in. Bitcoin is where it is. Chairman Powell is sitting on his hands. Trump is having trade wars. We haven't got the end of conflicts that we wanted to have. So all of that is still bearish. But like I said to Tariq, asked a question in chat yesterday about I don't think Trump's going to do everything that he said he was going to do. And I kind of went through all the list of things he's done so far. You know, the strategic reserve, they moved the Bitcoin yesterday in the American government wallets. They've got World Liberty Finance on the go. And what chain is World Liberty Finance using?
Drawing.
It's like having a 1.5 way conversation. This.
I'm doing my job. I'm done now.
World Liberty Finance are using Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
They're buying Ethereum. They're buying wrapped Bitcoin that sits on Ethereum. They're buying Ethereum projects. Everything is on Ethereum. So I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, if only two projects are going to have a successful bull run, if we had to pick two, I think it would be Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when I mean a good bull run, I mean massively adding to their market caps. I don't mean a 10x on Say or a 10x on Sonic. I mean Ethereum going to a $1 trillion market cap.
Yeah,
is what I mean.
Okay.
Right, should we bring a chart up?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna hide this as well because it's kind of in the way.
We're not flying at the minute, Tariq, because we don't have money in the market. The last bull run 4 years ago, we had quantitative easing. The money printer was turned on. When we have quantitative tightening, which is what we kind of still have a little bit left of now, and high interest rates, risk on assets don't pump. Risk off assets like gold go through the roof. Gold is at $3,100. It's a risk off asset. It is a flight to safety. If Chairman Powell tomorrow came out and cut interest rates to 2.5%, turn the money printer on, Bitcoin would be at $125,000 in 2 weeks. That's it. It is as simple as that. There are other things, of course, that affect the price, but we don't have exactly the same setup that we had 4 years ago. So when the money printer turns on, which is a when, not an if, because credit markets and banks and governments don't work without the money printer being turned on anymore. When they turn on, when interest rates come down, we are going to see Bitcoin fly. But until then, we've got to where we've got to primarily because of the ETF pump. The ETFs have just come in and just bought so much more Bitcoin than anybody expected. To think that BlackRock and the likes have now got, they've got over 1 million Bitcoin between them.
I think so.
Incredible. So without that, there's a very good chance that Bitcoin would only be now at about $55,000.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it pumps it, but it's also centralizes it more. We already talked about this stuff, like with if a few companies held a giant proportion of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no companies like that where they have that sort of allocation that they can go straight into investing into things like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like other companies which actually require, quite a bit of capital to evolve and are a company which isn't solely based on trading and finance.
Yeah.
Like things which create stuff, or GameStop, for example.
Yeah.
But it's still, the point is, obviously, there is obviously big institutional help. At the same time, it's kind of like a double-edged sword there.
Exactly.
But
they will dump as well as the pump.
exactly.
Answer the question from Biz in chat. I've still got Bitcoin all-time high in April, and which sounds crazy because we're at $85,000. I know, but I've got all-time high for Bitcoin in April. So, in answer to your question, do I think we're going to go to 110 before we go to 75? I think there's a good chance of that.
I think so.
And I think
we already saw the low.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have as well, and we had this last year a little bit where we crabbed all the way down, is I just think you might as well, July, August, and maybe a bit of September, you might as well go on holiday for 2 months. I don't think we're going to get anything in July and August. I think we're going to have a really good April, May, June, and then towards the end of June, we're going to taper off. The trading volume is going to go out of the market over the summer, and then October, November is going to be where Bitcoin goes to its all-time high. Now, maybe it runs on to December, or maybe Chris Marzalak and some of these other experts that have got more data than I have, maybe they're all right, and the 4-year cycle is finally going to be over. But until we get to November and December, and it's confirmed that the 4-year cycle is finished, we have to stick with the 4-year cycle because it worked 2021, 2017, 2013. We can't just ignore it because some guy with no hair said that we're out of it now. So I think April all-time high. And I'm not saying 150,000, I'm saying 112,000, which is on my screen there. That's the next all-time high for me. I think we'll bounce off it. I think we'll come down. Right, we're gonna go. I'm gonna stop talking. The chart's gonna come up now.
Yeah. Okay. I'll be quick again. Like I said, I don't want to speak too much, about on the charts. But anyway, this is what I've quickly drawn as of late. Obviously, I had a bunch of different things back, but as of this movement, I've drawn some relative things which we actually require to look at. So we've got 3 kind of main areas down here. We have this purple area. It's quite hard to see because the background on my chart's pretty dark. I'll probably brighten these quickly just so you can see them a bit better. Okay, maybe it's a bit too bright, but it doesn't really matter. Trying to make them a bit easier to see. Okay, so the main one. So the first one we've got is this purple area. This is we've got this gap here in this area, which obviously we had one previously, which kind of already got filled here, and then obviously continued onwards. But this one also got marked out, which has the stopping point about 1908, which is also where we're stopping now pretty much. We've kind of come to it, and we're obviously stopping, kind of arcing, not really arcing, but whatever. Next area is this massive one from good darkness.
Before you move on from that downside there, right? I made a video last year about the ETF.
Yeah.
And I said, if it all goes south, we're going to go to some targets further down.
Yeah.
And then I think I revisited it, and I had 1,900 and 1,700.
Yeah.
What's the Is the $1,700 Ethereum the same as the $75,000 Bitcoin? Or is 17?
I think the 70
about 1,700, not on the nail.
I think 1,700 is a lot worse than Bitcoin 75.
Right. Okay.
I think because I've got a few reasons that's on a personal. Because again, what did we get to on our low? Obviously, we got to a few lows. Obviously, we saw
Bitcoin got to 76.5. Was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Obviously, that was a great time of negativity. But
Tariq actually cancelled the order on his 3rd Tesla.
But if we go to the comparison, I think this chart might be okay to look at. But I've got a lot of crap on this chart actually. Which chart did I look at was it this one?
I have no idea what chart you're
looking at. Where am
I?
I don't know where I am right now.
You're looking at Bitcoin USD.
No, I know where I am. But where's the one I just looked at? Which chart did I use?
I don't know. The screen's just... It's like watching Neo in the Matrix.
No, it wasn't this one. This one was...
I have no idea what's going on right now.
Oh, here it is. I found it.
The screen's glitched.
I thought I used this one. But I wanted to come look back down here. I just want to look at this general area. Okay, so we can see this is about obviously 10th of March. So I want to look at this quickly and then go back to Ethereum. I think I was on this one. To be fair though, we did hit 1,750. So to be fair, it's actually as low.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying because I think in my video I said something like, what happens if Bitcoin comes down? And I think I had $2,100 and $1,900. Right. But then the worst case scenario, I had $1,700.
Yeah,
right?
The reason I was thinking it wasn't because I had my worst case was actually this big thing, which I'm going to unhide now. And I'll show you the reason why I hid it, because it's actually, where is it? There it is. It's really horrifying to look at on all this lines and stuff on the screen. This was my massive support point, and the rim of it was 1860. Now we did use it. The reason I had it, obviously, we had these wicks. Obviously, I talked about this. Remember when we dumped and everyone said we weren't going to dump? I said we were going to dump. This was the stopping point.
Even I said to you that we're not going to dump.
Yeah, we dumped.
And we dumped. Yeah, I know. But I'm not the oracle. I'm not the oracle. I can sit here. I'm a peasant. Okay.
Right.
If you tell me we're going to dump, I'm going to come to your castle and I'm going to burn you out of your castle. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what happens, right? And when you say we're going to dump, as everything's going to the moon, okay, you just sound like a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, again, it was definitely a prize moment.
Or maybe we should call you a Kishan killer. That's what you
killer.
Killed him by telling me we were going to dump.
Well, anyway, this was what I had drawn back then. This is a really nice area.
Yeah.
And my low was 1869. So I thought that was the low, but obviously we've come into this.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a week, we've actually come into it. So again, it's a lot worse. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're looking at today. Make sure I'm playing the right one. I should probably name my things, but okay.
It doesn't matter. So we're at 1900, which is pretty much a very, very solid support point.
This is. I've got a lot of support in this area. We've already seen a lot of support in this area. Again, this isn't something really bad. If we compare Bitcoin, we're kind of in a similar situation. Obviously, Ethereum has had a lot more pump, and again, obviously, I was very negative on Ethereum for a while because of the situation we're in. Obviously, if you've been watching my streams, you'll know what I've kind of. Obviously, well, to be fair, I do kind of waffle a bit in my streams, so you might not know because you might have fallen asleep, but. If you were there and you looked at what my Ethereum...
It's not waffle, it's brain dumping.
Brain dumping. Then, because we came below some, for me personal, important areas of support, which then turned to resistance, which then we had a resistance. Because obviously, if you kind of cast the Bitcoin chart onto this chart and compare them, you can see we had a good period of time where we weren't really going any higher than this area. Yeah. And then we kind of expanded. So instead of having a gradual move like we had with Bitcoin, where we were kind of nicely going upwards, this was a lot more, okay, we're stuck, bang, and then we'll come all the way back down. So it looks a lot more drastic, but realistically, we're not in that bad of a situation if you compare, the relative situations of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah. But anyway, support. We have this white one, which is a breaker block, which is just basically a support point, with this midpoint at around 1888 here. Obviously, the high end is also overlapping with this potential buy area at about 1909. And then the third area, obviously very big. I know this is quite drastic, but this is a kind of a higher time frame, higher range equilibrium. If I were to unhide it quickly.
The blue box.
Yeah, the big blue box. It's like big support. So this is actual equilibrium, which you can see we've wicked off and bounced and whatever. Yeah. And then we have these two wider rims, which are like greater areas where if you have a really bad situation, these are the potential areas you can wick to, which obviously we did wick roughly to this area, maybe about $5 off. And obviously we have used it as support, if you can see by these two areas, coinciding with this breaker block as well. So this is basically a big area of support, sitting, like I said, around 1889. But the actual true equilibrium is within 1845 to 1800 with this area. Okay. But again, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
So what I'd say, I think, again, similar to how Bitcoin has some of its areas, we are at that low end. We have the trend line. We're kind of sitting in that support area. Very similar with Ethereum as well. Obviously, we're sitting at these support areas. Again, I don't think it would be too bad if we shimmied a bit lower. This gap, obviously, this in theory should be again, this is the 4 hours, so again, it'll take some time to arc back upwards.
Yeah.
In theory, should be the area we kind of hit to and then come back upwards. My only thing about this, though, is these purple lines are very important. I've talked about this quite often. These are areas of kind of to confirm if you're above or below a certain line. And this is the purple line, we're kind of bouncing off it, but we haven't had, again, this is the 4 hour, everything's relative. We haven't had really a good bounce off of 1917, but it would suggest to us that we are now below and would use 1950 as resistance. So
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe had a bounce off of it, similar to how we had in this area, maybe a bounce back towards, bounce up, maybe back in again towards 1890. kind of if I use the pen quickly.
What are we at now? 1909?
1912.
1912.
So so if we had a very quick, not too long, maybe whatever happens a day, whatever it's going to take.
Yeah.
Quick kind of do this before we go back upwards.
I don't even think it's going to be a day, because if that PCI
Well, again,
data
that's going to change a lot of
come out
things.
in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So in 4 hours, 4 hours, it's going to be out.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is, on the days where I think that it's going to be a positive news break, I think they wick us to the downside.
Yeah, we're done before we
Yeah.
And then again, that's the thing. Like this is looking at it if we were to have normal price action.
Yeah.
Which again, same with the Bitcoin chart as well. Like everything's going to be a bit different in 4 hours.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Then we're going to move on.
All right.
Thank you for that. Oh no, the last question was.
Yeah.
But before we move on, one last question is: so this $10,000 Bitcoin, sorry, $10,000 Ethereum.
Yeah.
Where are we going to go by June on Ethereum? And that's question one. And then if we're going to sell in June and buy back in September, and we had $10,000, how much of that $10,000 would you put into Bitcoin, and how much would you put into Ethereum? So if you've got $10,000 right now, what percentage do you buy of Bitcoin and Ethereum?
If it was only Bitcoin and Ethereum?
Yeah.
Well, the 60-40 is the most obvious one.
Okay. But on based on the two charts you've looked at, what's the chances of Bitcoin doing a move to 120,000 and Ethereum moving to 3,000? Because 120,000 is only a 33% move, or a 50% move actually. But if you take, let's just say you take Ethereum from 1,900 to 3,300, 3,500, because it should go up a lot more, would you not hedge your bets in Ethereum?
I get that. Obviously, I think there's quite a bit of. I know there's quite a few people, and I think yourself as well, are saying that we've kind of already seen the high of Bitcoin, or we're only going to go as far as we've already reached. We're not going to go any higher, and then we're going to come down. So I get that. I get the idea. If we were to do that, I would completely understand. If there's higher potential of Ethereum reaching the highs of, let's say, 3,000, or not really the highs, because obviously we have seen these areas before, but a high of 3,000, which again, relative to what we've moved, it's a hard job, to be fair. Though I think 3,000 is a hard job. Bitcoin again, we've got a hard job for reaching 1,000, 100,000. 110,000. I'm waffling. I'm tripping on my words. I'm trying to think about the.
Okay, Bitcoin or Ethereum, percentage-wise, which one is going to be higher by June? That's the question. That's the question. That's the question we all want an answer to.
Okay. Well, I think
one-word answer. What she's going to do it based on those two charts.
Okay. Well, I don't know if. Ethereum. There. You know what? Whatever. Ethereum. I can't bother. Ethereum.
So if you had $10,000, what would you put into Ethereum? What would you put into Bitcoin?
If Ethereum's going to go up more than Bitcoin, then obviously we're going to put more in Ethereum than Bitcoin.
What would you put
60-40.
60. So you put $6,000 into Ethereum, $4,000 into Bitcoin. Absolutely perfect. The reason I'm chasing you is the next article is also going to be the Oracle monologue.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
right.
So I've got to push you for time because
why I'm conflicted is I actually don't know it. I don't know if I still agree with the idea that we're not actually going to see any high for Bitcoin. I don't know where we're really going to see for Ethereum in terms of its high. I have some areas.
But the thing with Bitcoin is we break 100,000. Everyone's going to say we're going to 150, right? Previous was 108, right?
Yes.
So for my target of 112, it's what? It's $4,000 higher than that little high, yeah? Now, if we do that, it's a fraction. And then everyone's going to call for higher, right? And then I think we might come back down to 85,000 again. And then have another run up in September. So that's where I think 112 comes from in my head. I've got it on a chart for some reason. Ethereum is totally different because Ethereum has come so far down.
Yeah.
It's like less than 50% of what it was.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's come so far down. We've got so much. That's why I don't know, like, if relative, it's actually going to be that much of a difference.
But this is the thing with Ethereum. It's like you've got this coffee shop and the King of England, the Queen of England, the Prince of England. You have all these A-list celebrities. They all go to this coffee shop and the shares of the coffee shop just keep going down. It's like You've got BlackRock.
Yeah.
BlackRock literally said, we are using Ethereum. Price go down. What? Ondo has now got, what, $1.5 billion in assets. Price go down. So there's a fundamental problem with Ethereum, but I don't think it's the product. I think it's the team. There's something wrong. I said this about a year and a half ago. There is something wrong with Ethereum that isn't the tech.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they did make a massive mistake when they changed the fee structure.
Yeah.
Because they didn't halve the fees. They reduced the fees by 75%. And since then, it's kicked everything in the nuts. Because if you charge less, guess what? You make less.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So I think that's a problem. But anyway, we're going to move on. 3 cryptos to invest in before March the 31st.
Okay.
Now, we're going to have a snog, marry, avoid on this one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I'm going to give you the 3. And this is the article I've not read. So this is a live reaction.
It's got Melania meme in it. Yeah, right. We know what that's going to do.
Right then. You ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, Ripple. Coming in at $2.20. It's declined a little bit. Oversold RSI. Everything's got oversold RSIs at the minute.
Yeah.
Probably even more oversold now.
Yeah.
So XRP at $2.20. That's the first one. Second one is Casper. Now, Casper was the darling of the shillfluencers. So everybody was telling you to buy Casper. Buy Casper. Buy Casper. Buy Casper. Yeah? Then it literally wet the bed. Because I believe that Riot or Marathon or somebody actually started mining Casper because it was more profitable than mining Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I said at the time that was going to destroy Casper. I think that was Casper, I believe. So Casper is second. Again, everything is oversold. But look at the price of Casper. What is it? 7 cents? 7.5 cents?
Casper.
Yeah. It's peanuts.
Well, on the screenshot, yeah, about that, yeah.
Right. And then the last one is Melania. The other best crypto to invest in with high potential is Melania. Who wrote this art? I call people out, by the way. Who wrote this? Is that Mathani or Mathoni?
Mathoni.
Mathoni. Mathoni, you're an idiot. That's it. You're an idiot. Okay? I do not differentiate between you and BitBoy Ben at this moment in time for suggesting that people buy Melania. Now, if I'm wrong, and on April the 30th, Melania is at $50, I will issue a public apology. But suggesting this shows that you have absolutely zero knowledge about crypto. I get the Casper, I get the XRP. This is horse manure, my friend. Coming in, it was as high as what, $5 or $10? It's come all the way down to 64, 65 cents, whatever. We're not even going to talk about it. Right. In order, you've got $1,000.
Okay.
Actually, no, snog, marry, avoid. Which one are you going to snog?
Okay, so this is like dip into and then not really care about.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think Melania has a hope.
Okay. Snog.
No, I know. I've
marry,
got to talk through my
avoid. Which
Okay.
we're gonna be here at 1 o'clock. Which one are you gonna snog? Actually, no. Which one are you gonna avoid?
I think Melania.
Melania. Right.
I think
Okay.
Melania. I don't think there's any use to it.
So snog or marry Casper.
Snog.
Snog and marry
XRP.
XRP. Actually, that's what I would have said, by the way. I was just trying to push you for time. Right. So snog, Casper, marry XRP, avoid Melania. If you had $10,000, how much would you put into each? How much would you put into Melania?
For $10,000.
Yeah.
1,000.
No, zero.
Well, just
I'm saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying zero.
Well, if I have to put in 3, I can't put 0 because I'm not putting anything in.
We makes the rules, we breaks the rules. If you want to say 0 for Melania, say 0 for Melania.
Okay, if I could break the rules, I'd put minus in and get something out of it.
Right, okay. How much would you put into XRP? $10,000, what would you put into XRP?
I think I put the majority, not just 60-40. I think I put even more. I don't know. Again, I'd have to do my own TA. I'd have to really look into it in terms of Casper. I'd rather put a heavy amount in XRP. In terms of a specific number, I don't know what I actually don't know what the potential predicted.
It doesn't have to be. Pick a number.
But this is what was going to orchestrate my answer. I haven't looked at Casper in ages.
You don't need to look at Casper.
I do need to look at Casper. I don't need to look at it. I need you to tell me how you think about it.
How often have we mentioned Casper?
Never. That's the thing. I don't talk about it. So I'm not going to put that much into it.
So,
but I don't know if it is a hidden gem.
So if we don't talk about it, it means it's not in the news. If it's not in the news, people don't
I don't
see
think
it,
it's going to be,
and people don't buy into it.
But I wouldn't buy it. So I would put anything.
So you're going to put $10,000
Yes.
into XRP. Perfect. I would do 9,000 in XRP, and I would, on the off chance that something miraculous happens with Casper, like it's so basically, you know, Andre Conge, he took over Phantom, he turned it into Sonic, and now Sonic is absolutely flying.
Yeah.
If that ever happened to Casper, there'd be $1,000 in Casper for me. That would be the only thing. But I'm wholeheartedly on your side. Right. Now we've got to move on because we are so far behind. We're not even going to talk about Walrus. Do you want me to very quickly mention this Walrus thing? I'll very quickly mention it. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to get to the end of the show. It's going to be like Saturday. So let's just move on very quickly. It's what happens when we have so much content. Morning, Chino. The guy's an idiot for sure. Absolutely. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I forgot. Tesla. He didn't cancel his third Tesla. He cancelled his fourth. But to be fair, Tariq, to be fair to you, you don't really want Teslas at the minute, do you? Because people are going around scratching naughty things inside, right? Sui-based decentralized storage protocol Walrus launches on mainnet. Walrus is developed by Miston Labs, the company behind the Sui blockchain. For those of you that don't know about Sui or don't know why it's doing so well, I made a video a long time ago about Sui. The entire team of Sui comes from, I think it's Microsoft. They are 6...
Facebook as well, isn't it?
Or maybe it's Facebook. Yeah. It's one of them. Yeah, that's right. They are 6 of the brightest minds. They also got one of the highest levels of investment into any blockchain ever. Okay, and they built Sui, which means water in Japanese. It's an unbelievable blockchain. But as I said in my video at the time, if it doesn't get adopted, it's like building the nicest restaurant in the middle of the desert. No one's going to go there. So they've spent their time getting people to use Sui. And to do that, you need liquidity and users. And that's what they're aiming for. Look at what Sonic is doing. Sonic is driving as much money into its stablecoins as humanly possible. It surpassed, I think, $1 billion or something like that. I did a stream yesterday and they'd surpassed 200 million. I don't know. It's going crazy over on Sonic. But Sui is going to follow suit. Miston Labs have built it. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a great blockchain, but it needs adoption. And of course, the price absolutely ran up and it's retraced the same as Ton's done. It's a really good project. Have a look at it. And bringing projects to Sui has to be their goal. And if they have to bribe people to get them on board, let them bribe people. Sonic bribe the teams, the developer teams, they bribe them by giving them back the fees for using their project. So it's all about competing for resources being projects and users. Moving on then, very quickly, because we've got a couple of things to go through before the end. What time is it, by the way? 11?
11:57.
Quantum computers, government, or 51% attack. Experts name the main threats to Bitcoin. Now, do you remember making a video about this?
Yeah.
We made a video 2 years ago, maybe, about the threats to Bitcoin. And we talked about electromagnetic EMP.
Yes.
Yeah. We talked about hacking the GitHub. That was one of them.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
We talked about government.
We had 5 of them.
Attacks. Yeah, we had.
I know. I have a thing about this one.
What do you think about it?
I wrote something about this.
Let's go back to the screen, shall we? So everyone can see what we're looking at. Give me 1 second to bring this up. Yeah, you didn't need to see anything about Walrus. That wasn't really very important. But we are on the wrong screen.
Oh, never mind. It's gone. Oh, it's not gone. It's there. Yeah, EMP, regulation, error in code, 51% attack, quantum computing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let me have a look. Now, the Biz in chat has said something. Give me 1 second to bring this up on screen. There we go. Which is basically everyone's going to leave Sonic when the airdrops have finished. Now, we said about Celestia, and we said about Say, year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever it was, we said that Celestia appears to be built on airdrops. And at the time, when I went off to look at Celestia, it had nothing but airdrops. It was like, stake your Celestia here, stake your Celestia there. And it was like $18, $20 a Celestia. Now it's at what? $4, $3.50.
Yeah.
And my argument is for Sonic that they've actually got usage. And whilst I agree with you, I think a lot of the TVL will drop when the airdrop points is finished being farmed. I think more people are going to stick around on Sonic than stuck around on Celestia. To this day, I can't name anything that runs on Celestia. Can't name a thing, okay? With Sonic, they have some really good liquidity pool platforms, some DeFi platforms. They've got a lot of actual content on there, but you're kind of right. The one thing that makes me think that people are going to stick around is 75% of the fees generated on Sonic are going to go back to the builders. So they're actually going to get remunerated for staying on Sonic. And that's the only differentiation I can find between Celestia and Sonic, but I think it will do well. So, long and short of it, what is the single biggest threat to the Bitcoin blockchain, in your opinion? Cutting through this question here.
Okay, the biggest threat. Well, I mean, we know there's been big developments in computer. Who's it again? Was it Microsoft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Didn't they create a different state of matter?
Yeah, they did topology, where what was it again? It was like some like topological state or something where like I can't remember exactly how it worked. Yeah, I think it's called Willow.
That's right.
Like one of the biggest kind of like polished developments of quantum computing, or making the chip for quantum computing. So it's, I think as that develops, again, I think it's a long time before that ever gets to being in a state where people can start to use it, as a customer side of things. Because again, if you're making it, they're not going to be hacking. Because again, if someone goes, okay, we've just been finessed, obviously by the method of quantum computing, there's like three people who could potentially be responsible for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very long time before these chips become any sort of accessible to a consumer market. And obviously, I think they'll be expensive for a very, very long time. So I think there's plenty of time for that to be defended against. So even though I think, it's a big development, this is really bad for Bitcoin, it's going to be hacked.
Yeah.
No, it's not, because who's going to be using it to hack? Nobody in a very long time.
Nope.
So I generally think, and again, obviously, we can clearly see what the consensus of Bitcoin is by governments and people. Obviously, America is kind of spearheading this quite nicely in the news as of late. So I don't think that's really going to be too much of a threat either to bring it down. I generally think it's got to be some sort of asteroid which blows up some sort of electromagnetic field around us, which blows the entire thing up.
Which would take out everything.
Yeah, which I think the concern about, I think if that happened, I think our concern wouldn't realistically just be on Bitcoin. I think it'd be a lot more concerning on everything.
Yeah,
So I genuinely don't think there's a lot to stop it.
I'm going to come out with something different that hasn't been mentioned yet. AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI is the biggest threat to Bitcoin.
Yep.
Quantum computing. If you could hack Bitcoin wallets, would you tell anybody?
If I could do it?
Yeah.
No.
Right. Would you hack Michael Saylor's wallet? No. Because what's one of the most fundamental tenets of a fiat-based system is the trust.
Yeah.
So you buy something for $1,000. The trust is the person selling it you is getting $1,000 that has $1,000 of value, and you're buying it for $1,000 because you believe it's worth that. And it's all based on trust. Okay. It's all well and good saying yes. What else is it based on? It's not based on gold. Is it based on the fact that America has got the biggest military complex in the world that's ever seen? Yes. Of course, it's backed by that.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. If Bitcoin lost trust, if the trust in Bitcoin went, it would be finished. So if you did have quantum computing and you could hack Bitcoin wallets, I would be hacking people who've got 10, 20, 30, 5 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would hack them to wallets that aren't connected to each other. I would do it in a very simple way. I'd leech off the system. I think AI is the biggest threat because I think AI could carry out multiple attacks on the chain in terms of, how many people commit to GitHub? Let's say 500,
yeah,
right, in Bitcoin. Now, what would happen if each one of them had some kind of AI infiltration where they all agreed on a commit to Bitcoin? And then that Bitcoin commit goes live.
It's hard.
I know if it was easy, it'd have been done.
But the thing is, like, if there is anything which will happen, which is the most likely, is that the convergence of every single person who has the administration rights to accept a code push
Yes.
would be hacked at the same time.
Yeah.
That is more likely than an EMP
Exactly.
asteroid.
And we can't do that with quantum because quantum's one. But if we had 1,000 AI bots with their sole purpose of doing this, anyway, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It might not happen. Whatever it might be. Another thing, because creating a vulnerability or finding a vulnerability in Bitcoin 6 years ago, people. The guys from Bitcoin Cash found a massive vulnerability in Bitcoin and told them, and then they fixed it. So all of these things can happen. But anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to run out of time. Everything is Ghibli. How do you pronounce it? Ghibli.
Ghibli.
Everything is Ghibli. What you need to know about the hottest AI image trend. OpenAI's latest model is filling social media streams with these anime-inspired images. Even I created one yesterday. We created one of you. We created one of the dog, didn't we? We don't really need to talk about it. Studio Ghibli is an award-winning Japanese animation studio co-founded by well-known animator and filmmaker, a man whose name I'm not going to pronounce. Founded in 1985, it's got 20 films, best known for its Oscar-winning anime feature, The Boy and the Heron. I remember that.
I think that's still going.
Yeah, exactly. So this is now the latest craze, and guess what comes with crazes? Meme coins. Guess what comes with meme coins? Pump and dumps. Guess what comes with pump and dumps? The people watching us getting scammed. So, my advice yesterday was stay away. My advice today is stay away. I don't care if it's gone up 1,000%. I don't care if it's gone up 600%. We didn't talk about Gotius Maximus. Okay? We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about some of these other meme coins. Why? Because you see these so-called shillfluencers talking about these meme coins. Oh, it's going to go to $1, it's going to go to $5, it's going to go to $20. And guess what? It goes to 80 cents and then it goes to 1 cent and you're left holding the bag. Why do they tell you it's going to a price it's not going to go to? Because they want you to hold it while they sell. A train is hurtling towards the edge of the cliff and there is one, what would you jump out of a hurtling train in? If you,
so I'm reading the articles.
Right. The point of the matter is, if you're in an aeroplane and the aeroplane is hurtling towards the ground, it's got 300 people on it, and there's 2 parachutes, the shillfluencers are going to take the parachutes and jump, and you're going to be left in the plane because they've told you the plane isn't going to crash. That's what these things are going to do. There's going to be 20 of these meme coins. They're going to flood the market. You're going to buy a couple of them, and you're going to lose your money. Buy Bitcoin. That's a simple thing. Okay? Not financial advice.
We can't stop you from doing anything because it's your life. Go into it knowing the risks and the severe risks of doing it.
And punch yourself in the jaw before you buy the token. And every time you buy one of these tokens, punch yourself in the jaw. And eventually, that is going to be enough of a deterrent to realize that punching yourself in the jaw hurts, and buying these wastes of time are just going to cost you your money.
Or do it once. Do it once, and either 2 outcomes happen. Have a little bit of money relative to however much money you want to put in. Tiny bit of money in a meme coin. Now, 2 outcomes from this will happen. Either you make the money and you're able to sell it because there's just about enough liquidity to actually sell it, and what we do for you. And then obviously this is kind of a recursive kind of process, because then what the outcomes are going to be? You're going to put the $50 in and you're going to immediately lose it, and you should sit in that pit of shame for a while and think to yourself, why did I do this? And that is the point. You should learn yourself that there's no point in doing this, or no point in investing in meme coins. Just put it in Bitcoin or put it in anything else.
Bitcoin.
So I do strongly advise, don't really bother with meme coins. Obviously, it's your life. You can gamble it, but as long as you're aware you're gambling, then obviously there you go. Do what you want. But if you don't really know what you're doing and you can't want to do meme coins, do it once. And if you lose, and you probably will lose, and you lose time and money, sit in that pit of shame, and then feel that shame you lose. Why the hell did I do this? And there you go. That's it. You're done.
We're done.
Yeah.
Right then. Moving on, very quickly. Your favourite friend.
My friend, apparently, yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried has moved from New York City Jail to Oklahoma prison to start serving his 25-year sentence. There he is. Sam Bankman-Fried.
Was he having too much fun with Diddy?
He was having his Diddy parties.
In jail.
Probably can't say that, can we? He was having a party with Diddy, Maybe it didn't include sitting down and eating sandwiches together. But he's now gone to Oklahoma City. We don't need to talk too much about this because we're out of time. But basically, I sincerely believe that the Tucker Carlson interview. What's wrong?
I've just read the footnote or the head note, what you call it, the summary basically of the article, and he finessed the prison by pretending the Tucker Carlson interview was a legal call. And what they did to punish him? A singular day in solitary. Oh, boo, bloody who? He's sitting in a padded room by himself for a day. Like, what the hell?
So he did this interview with Tucker Carlson, which I think is a PR campaign.
Yeah.
And I think, Ross Albright from Silk Road, he was, what's it called? Pardoned? Do they call it pardoned in America? He was pardoned. Let's close this down and put it on full screen now because we're kind of done. He was pardoned. Roger Ver, who we mentioned in the other article before, that article mentioned that he's persecuted for, using Bitcoin first, that kind of stuff. So Roger Ver is going to be working on trying to get out of prison himself. Not prison, sorry. He's going to get the charges dropped against Roger Ver. And then who've we got left that's in prison to do with crypto? Sam the Man. Do I think Sam the Man can get out of prison? Absolutely. Why? Do you know that they were that badly organised that when the guys went in to get their money out, they realised there was actually more money in FTX than they thought, and there was no black hole.
Yeah.
So the entire thing was caused by him being an idiot and not having anybody in charge of his accounts, not having anyone in charge of his, his revenue, his costs, or anything like that. Anyway, I think he's going to be let out. There's no way on earth he will be in prison in 3 or 4 years' time. He is going to be let out. And I think the Tucker Carlson interview was the first start. And I think if Roger Ver gets out, I think Sam Bankman-Fried is going to get pardoned as well. Because if Trump's going to look at it and go, hang on a minute, so you locked him up for his business collapsing, but not one single person involved in that business lost money. Now, there are people who unfortunately did things to themselves because they lost their life savings. Yeah. And that's on him. I don't know what it's called, corporate manslaughter. I don't know what it comes under. But that's on him. But at the end of the day, he didn't lose any money.
No.
So should he serve 25 years for that? I don't think so. Had he lost $4 or $5 billion and cleaned out 10,000 families...
Yeah, if he actually finessed people.
Yeah, then that's different. But I don't think he should be in prison. Anyway, that is it. It is now 12:15, 12:12. The Oracle, as you can see, is here.
Oh, I think there's a stretch. A little bit tired. I feel like, I just feel a bit tired now. I've got to put him to bed.
Thank you for coming today.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been good.
Nice having somebody else on the stream. I think Kishan's enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
One expression of the Oracle says a lot. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll
just be this like React bot in the corner, just like putting face expressions to things.
But thank you, Kishan. Thank you, Biz. Thank you, KB and Mags and Tariq. Jan is here. Thank you all for coming. The Oracle is back in whatever time you arrange with KB.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about like 7.
In fact, KB, what time do you want the stream to be?
Yeah, I messaged him. He said 6 p.m. UK time, so about 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Our time. So in 7 hours.
Fine.
All right. Back later today, basically.
Thank you, everybody. Greatly appreciated. Have a great weekend. I'm going to make a load of videos tomorrow and Sunday as well, so keep an eye out for them. I think Bitcoin's going to bounce. The Oracle thinks that Bitcoin is going to bounce. Let's see what the PCE data says today. It might bring us down.
Ethereum will bounce as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we've got some things.
It's CPE. CPE, not PCE. PCE.
I thought it was PCE.
No, it's core price index. CPI. Is it called CPI? Anyway,
the website said PCE.
Maybe it's PCE. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday.
Appreciate you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, let's just mute the mics and then turn the music up. And then you want to turn the music up on the telly box.